will go high. Love, grace, humility will win. And then you tell everybody to go to hell. You think that's going to work for you, Coach White? Think that's going to work for you? The reality of the situation is none of that stuff will win if it's left up to you, Stephanie White. Because you're not handling it right. You playing right into their hands. Right into their hands.
Welcome back to the Clark Update, where every day brings a new headline, and today's story has basketball fans talking more than ever. Questions are being raised, reactions are pouring in, and the latest developments have sparked a major debate surrounding Stephanie White, Stephen A. Smith, Sophie Cunningham, and DiJonai Carrington. White has found herself in an awkward spotlight following a controversial coaching decision, while Stephen A. Smith's criticism has raised questions about her leadership and the situation surrounding the Indiana Fever. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark and her teammates appear ready to stand behind their coach, adding even more attention to an already heated situation. But what exactly did Stephen A. Smith say that prompted such a strong response? And could this controversy point to a deeper issue within Indiana? Stay with us as we break down the details and examine why this story has become such a major talking point across the basketball world. And if you enjoy these updates, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. More than 73% of viewers still haven't subscribed, and it only takes a second to join us. Now, let's get into the story.
Our player safety is always a top priority for me. One of the things I pride myself on is my relationships with players. I thought the play got called right. Thankfully, Sophie's okay. Was it egregious? Absolutely. When you have a chance to watch that over and over and over on replay, you can see that. I didn't have that in real time. The hate, the fear-mongering, the divisiveness, the stuff that's trying to hijack our league will not win. It won't win. We are united. We are connected. We will not.
The latest controversy surrounding the Indiana Fever has been taken to another level by Stephen A. Smith, as the debate is no longer simply about whether Stephanie White made the wrong decision.
Embracing the reality of the tense situation that the WNBA, and especially you as the coach of the Indiana Fever, is involved in. There are folks in Indiana at a home game booing you. You ain't the road team, you the home team, you the home coach, and they booing you. And Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark can speak up for you all they want to, as they did, and as they should have.
The bigger question now is whether the Fever's coach has lost the trust of the very players she is responsible for leading. At the same time, it is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore Stephen A. Smith's calls for answers, as his comments continue to fuel the growing debate surrounding the team and its leadership.
Stephanie White, I've been a defender, the coach of the Fever. Get her out of there. Get her out of there. Fire her ass today. I don't want her back on that bench. Stop defending the other players. Oh, she plays hard, DJ. That's just her being her. You see Caitlin in the press conference almost cover her ears and her eyes. Defend your players. First of all, you're wrong. It was a dirty play. She's gone. But when do you ever see in like the NBA a coach not defend their own players? She hasn't done it with Caitlin when Caitlin got punched.
The play that sparked the uproar created more drama than anyone expected, as DiJonai Carrington was ejected from the Indiana Fever's August 8th game against the Chicago Sky following contact with Sophie Cunningham around the head and neck area during a breakaway play. Officials immediately assessed the incident as a flagrant 2, resulting in Carrington's ejection and turning an already intense matchup into a major talking point among WNBA fans.
See what happened when this young lady got ejected from a WNBA game the other day for a flagrant foul on Sophie Cunningham? Did y'all see that? She got ejected from the game for that flagrant foul right there. And I'll be damned if that wasn't a flagrant 2. She mugged her. Damn near came across like decapitating her, for crying out loud. That was definitely a hard foul. Make no mistake about it. Nobody can argue about it. You can say what you want. We know what we saw. No way around it. The DiJonai Carrington foul was clearly unnecessary. It was a flagrant foul penalty too. It was absolutely positively.
That should have been the end of the story. A hard foul occurred, officials reviewed the play, made their decision, and everyone could move forward. Instead, the incident quickly grew into a much larger debate involving player safety, coaching decisions, social media, politics, race, fan loyalty, and ultimately Stephanie White's future in Indiana. The Fever were suddenly facing questions not only about what happened on the court, but also about how their coach later described the incident. While White's explanation may have seemed reasonable to some, others remained unconvinced, especially after video footage began circulating online. Cameras capture what happens on the court, and the footage gave critics plenty of material to question White's interpretation of the confrontation involving DiJonai Carrington and Sophie Cunningham. That created an uncomfortable gap between what some fans believed they saw and what White said she saw, turning the question of whether her explanation matched the available footage into a major online debate. And that is exactly where Stephen A. Smith entered the conversation.
Rose that Stephanie is stuck in is she knows DiJonai is a good person, but now she's coaching people who are likely taking money from the Heritage Foundation, has a large MAGA racist fan base, and they didn't like that she defended DiJonai.
Take personally any suggestions that I don't 100% always have my play.
That should have been the end of the story. A hard foul occurred, officials reviewed the play, made their decision, and everyone could move forward. Instead, the incident quickly grew into a much larger debate involving player safety, coaching decisions, social media, politics, race, fan loyalty, and ultimately Stephanie White's future in Indiana. The Fever were suddenly facing questions not only about what happened on the court, but also about how their coach later described the incident. While White's explanation may have seemed reasonable to some, others remained unconvinced, especially after video footage began circulating online. Cameras capture what happens on the court, and the footage gave critics plenty of material to question White's interpretation of the confrontation involving DiJonai Carrington and Sophie Cunningham. That created an uncomfortable gap between what some fans believed they saw and what White said she saw, turning the question of whether her explanation matched the available footage into a major online debate. And that is exactly where Stephen A. Smith entered the conversation.
Flagrant to every single damn time in the NBA and the WNBA. But you know things have devolved when you got the Attorney General for the state of Florida saying that's why WNBA games ain't here because guess what? We are the prosecutor. Attorney General James Usmeyer, the WNBA knows better than to play games down here in Florida because I'll be charging people with assault. I should probably clarify. Assault and battery. That is from the Attorney General of the state.
Coaches often work with players for years, learning their personalities, understanding their tendencies, and developing relationships that can last long after a player leaves the team. Because of that, White's supporters can reasonably argue that she was simply describing what she believed she saw in real time rather than deliberately protecting a former player. But her critics are asking a much harder question. If White had never coached or mentored the person involved, would she have reacted the same way? That question has become one of the main reasons the controversy refuses to disappear, because once trust and personal relationships enter the conversation, every explanation comes under greater scrutiny. The situation took another dramatic turn when White addressed the growing criticism before the Fever faced the New York Liberty. Instead of delivering the carefully polished response coaches typically give during a controversy, White appeared to push back directly against her critics. The contrast was striking, with her comments about grace and humility followed by a much more blunt message to those questioning her, creating a moment that felt less like a standard coaching statement and more like two completely different sides of the same personality competing for the microphone.
You're wrong, but it starts to make me think you care more about the overlying social issues and not pissing off other people in the league and saying men can play in the league because she's one of those players. Coaches, when asked, always is taking the far left side of it. This isn't politics. Your player got assaulted. Defend your player in the press conference. Be like, yeah, that was a dirty play. She should have hit the showers. She acts like she's the coach of the other team. I don't care if she's the best X's and O's when she's not. Get her the hell out of there. Either defend your players again.
It was clear, however, that White's remarks were driven by emotion, because she was responding to more than just one controversial foul. She appeared to be reacting to what she viewed as a much broader effort to question her character and create division within her team. And to be fair, White has a point that deserves consideration. Being the head coach of the Indiana Fever while Caitlin Clark remains at the center of one of the biggest storylines in women's basketball brings an extraordinary level of attention to an already demanding WNBA job. Every coaching decision becomes content, every substitution is analyzed, and even a coach's facial expression can become part of the conversation. At times, it seems as though every controversial foul is examined as if it were a national investigation. With the Fever now among the league's most closely followed teams, White is operating under a level of scrutiny that few coaches experience. But Stephen A. Smith's criticism is not necessarily about the team's record. It is about leadership, accountability, and perception. Perhaps the most uncomfortable part of the entire controversy is that White ultimately faced criticism and even boos from Fever supporters inside her own home environment.
He is the dumbest coach I've ever seen. Love, grace, humility, integrity. And you can go to hell if you don't love, grace, and integrity who I want. She is the dumbest human being to ever coach a professional sport. I say love wins. I will always have their back, except you didn't with Alyssa Thomas, except you didn't with DiJonai Carrington, except you didn't going back, except you never have. Hell, you're so stupid you can't even tell us what a woman is. You can't even tell us the difference between a...
Consider how unusual that situation was. White was not walking into Chicago, New York, or Las Vegas as an opposing coach. She was entering her own arena, yet some of the fans who were supposed to provide home court support were booing her. When Stephen A. Smith offered his perspective, he emphasized that White was not the visiting coach, she was leading the home team. That makes the reaction more than ordinary criticism. It becomes a warning sign that something may be seriously wrong between a coach and part of the fan base. The situation became even more complicated after Caitlin Clark publicly defended White. Reports indicated that Clark said the boos made her feel sick and showed that the players stood behind their coach, while also expressing that the Fever were determined to win the game for White. That response is significant because it presents two very different realities surrounding the same team. Inside the locker room, White appears to have strong player support, while outside it, criticism continues to grow louder. And that creates a difficult situation, because even strong support from players does not automatically settle questions about coaching decisions or leadership.
Plenty of chances to come out with a statement like this and chose not to come out with a statement like this. But when she saw that her job was in jeopardy, after the Lieutenant Governor of Indiana came out with that statement, after she came out to say that she believed that the play between DiJonai Carrington and Sophie Cunningham wasn't intentional, when she came out with that statement and she saw how those fans reacted to her saying that, how the governor of Indiana came out saying how she spoke about that. Now she wants to make a statement. Now she wants to try to flip her words and say that, oh, she didn't see video clips and see all this. Stand on business.
The most intriguing part of the situation is that, despite the growing controversy, the overall message from inside the team has been about staying united and refusing to let outside pressure create division. Sophie Cunningham has continued to stand by White throughout the debate, while Caitlin Clark also offered her perspective, emphasizing that what matters most is what happens on the basketball court. Indiana went on to defeat New York 106-92, with Clark contributing 22 points and 10 assists, making the victory even more striking given everything happening around the team. The Fever put 106 points on the scoreboard while people outside the locker room were still debating whether White should remain their coach. That is one of the strange realities of sports. Fans want consistency. They want their players protected. And when controversy happens, they want the coach's explanation to match what they believe they saw. That may be the biggest challenge White is facing. If she had simply acknowledged that she did not have a clear view of the play, admitted that she may have misjudged the situation, and said she would approach it differently after reviewing the footage, perhaps the controversy would have ended much sooner. Instead, each new explanation appeared to create another question, allowing the debate to continue.
participate over video conference. Kelsey Plum told reporters, appeared on NBC as an NBA analyst and addressed this in the executive committee. And then of course the league making the commitment framed it as a pivotal moment for women's sports. But two could be making $200,000 in 3 years, and they're comfortable with the new system. These are the players pushing for something. Wanted to hear de-released from the owners. And what's on the table is substantial. The owners are submitted those Christmas proposals. But internally they can't agree on mid-tier and back-end roster players. We're talking, instead of having layers of middlemen and lawyers separate in person, with other players that are really invested in this, that frustration is telling, because what it reveals is changing money. That's financial security for your family. Done because we're in the moment, because of the product we put on the floor. Then you've got the other faction that's willing to blow up the season if they don't yet to support that kind of split. And a significant due to 300, maybe 400,000. That's life. Players want to fight for a revenue model that might not usually. If you look at the comments on social media, massive shift from where public opinion usually sits in labor because of Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, and this, or who are prioritizing ideology over pragmatism. Stop it. And if it's the latter, you're going to see something unprecedented that could replace striking players. We saw that last year with We're Secure. That's the nuclear option. And the fact that it's even on the change the economics of women's basketball. And we can't compromise. The old season. Lost momentum, fan backlash, and the revenue sharing in the future. When the league can actually afford it, should they take the massive raises on the table and build toward that goal in
This was the first time the WNBA got truly physical with Caitlin Clark, and it all started again. And it wasn't just her shooting. Clark was finding her teammates too. But after building up a little,
that's what allows them to.
For Indiana, it was just another game. But for Chicago, it seemed to mean
Mabry running, can't get to it, and Chicago turns it over.
Frustration kept building. However, Caitlin kept playing her game, even when her own teammates made things a bit tricky.
Carter, Evans, guarding Clark, and Evans sends Clark to the
kept playing as reckless as ever, hitting backboard and hacking away on D. This wouldn't break the feeding for a whistle that never came. The play continued as Indiana kept possession. Boston found her chance and swiped it right out of their hands, tapping it back to Boston.
This time!
There.
Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
Shove. Once again, she got away with it. Look at Angel Reese, celebrating like Caitlin stayed above it all, sticking to her game plan and letting her skills speak louder than
another rebound, tosses ahead, Wheeler extra feed. Oh, that was pretty!
Alyssa Smith almost throwing the game. It was a close call.
Mabry.
Something toxic in the league. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese is not even a debate anymore.